And now, here from the Hyundai Studios, we get a chance to go to the Home Run In Pizza Hotline, try it off the grill. It's fast and easy. And welcome in San Diego State men's basketball coach Steve Fisher to the Score. Hi, Steve.
Hello. How we doing?
We're doing great,
Terry?
Steve. Yes, indeed it is.
How are you, my friend? Long time no talk to.
Yeah, well, you know what? You have had a great career, and I would have never expected what would happen at San Diego State would have happened for you. Not that I didn't think you were good, but I thought, well, Steve's probably just going to take some time and relax. But that's not exactly what you decided to do, was it?
Well, we fooled them. They thought we were going to come out here and retire, and I am going to retire, but I'm not quite ready to yet.
Okay. Well, we wanted to talk to you about a couple things. I know that, at San Diego State, you had Tony Gwynn coaching baseball. I'm sure you got to know him a little bit about Kawhi Leonard as well as we get into this. And I guess we could start with the happier news about Kawhi Leonard. Now, when he was there, San Diego State pretty damn good. Pretty 34-3, I believe, and nobody knew who he was.
34-3 his sophomore year.
Nobody knew who he was, and you had him. Was he a big recruit? Was he a guy you had to have, or how did you find him?
You know how recruiting works, Terry. You get a big pool that you evaluate. Say, I could take this kid, and I think he could help us. And Kawhi was the guy that jumped out at us, and he was one of those guys that so many people said, well, he's not quite big enough, he's not quite skilled enough, and all we kept saying is, boy, can he play. So we recruited him like we wanted to marry him. So many of these schools wanted to date him, but they weren't sure. And he could sense that, and so could his mom. So we beat out, eventually, UCLA, Arizona, Connecticut, and others, because they didn't convince the family how much they wanted him and felt like they needed him. We knew how good he was. He went on, Terry, his senior year to be Mr. Basketball in the state of California. So he entered his senior year, probably people said, well, yeah, he's going where he should go, not quite good. But He was the number one player in the state when he graduated.
When he ended up with the Spurs, did you foresee this kind of development? Because a lot of people didn't, and when you end up in the middle of the first round and playing for the Spurs, it was when he came on, there were a lot of people nationally that thought, well, wait a sec, who is this guy and where did he come from? But there were others who said, yeah, this was yet another perfect fit for a coach and a system and a culture.
All of the above. He was a perfect fit, no question. I had the privilege to go with he and his family to the Meadowlands when they had it at where the Nets play. They had the draft there, and Kawhi had great workouts, and he kind of moved up the food chain to where people were talking about him being a top 10 draft pick when we went in, and he wound up being the 15th player taken, and he got more quiet. He was very quiet to begin with, and more sullen when 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 went. But things happened. He got drafted and immediately traded. Indiana took him and immediately traded him for George Hill to the Spurs. Oof. And it turned out to be a phenomenal fit for him and a great pick for them.
Yeah, you emphasize the defense and so forth, and we see what he can do, Steve. I mean, there's no question about that part of the game. And, that's interesting because the best player in California, yet you would think that would put him automatically like a guy that you would want to marry, wouldn't you? If you're a coach, you would say, yeah, I'd like to marry that guy, and that's not just date him. That's interesting how he was recruited by you because it's like, not that you couldn't, but it's like. Woo.
Terry, in January of his senior year, they were ready to fire their assistant coaches. The schools that looked at him that were on the list because they didn't realize how good he was. They realized it in January, but we signed him in November. And Kawhi, and I've had a lot of really dedicated players, and no disrespect to any of them, I've never had someone that I've had the privilege to coach that was as hungry to get in the gym when nobody was watching and get better. And that was Kawhi. He is constantly. I know he'll take some time off now, but he's going to be back in San Diego after everything settles down, and he will be in the gym more than anybody in San Diego County.
What does it mean for your recruiting to have his name better known now, to have him being Finals MVP and to show what he did against the Heat on a national stage? Is that it's got to bolster your pitch to say that this guy was an Aztec?
No question, absolutely no question. We've gotten a lot of ripple from this. Our recruits know who Kawhi is, and it's recruiting never ends. So we're talking to the younger kids now about what Kawhi did, how he grew as a person and a player with us, and has continued to do that. It pays huge dividends, and I think this one will too. So often kids think that they have to go to a blue blood to be seen and to be as good as they can, and then sometimes it's just the opposite. You need to go to a program that's good, and we are that. We've got a program now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
We sold out, Terry. Our arena has been sold out the last 3 years. Prior to the season, 12,414, the toughest ticket in town. But now recruits know I can go to San Diego State, and I'll have every bit the exposure that if I go to Kentucky or Duke or North Carolina or Arizona or UCLA, any of them, and that helps. That gets you past one door in the process. We feel like we can go in, and some kids want to go with those, the ones,
sure,
the team that's hung the most banners, but others want to say and go and say, hey, I want to go and I want to be the first to hang a Final Four banner at San Diego State, and that's what we're selling now. And 15 years ago, we said, do anything to help us. Come and help us hang any kind of banner. We got a program now that we're proud of.
Yeah, and you should be, Steve, because I mean, really, as you mentioned, all the blue bloods, and they look at a kid, and I mean, that is really, it's difficult to do, and we all know how tough it is to do when you start in the situation you started in. I mean, that is really tough to get the kids' attention, to get the better players' attention to your school. And you've managed to do that. And now I think with Kawhi Leonard out there, MVP of the finals, and some of the Spurs are counting on long term. I mean, they believe he can keep the whole thing going. He's so good. I mean, you're a made man. You're all good now.
Well, I know that I'm at the stage in my career where I'm going to choose when I retire and quit, rather than somebody else saying, I think you're done. And that's a nice feeling to have. We love where we are. It's a great city and a terrific university, and we're proud to be a part of it. And it's been really fun watching the transformation and growth of our men's basketball program. It's really, really, really a sight to see. And I know you've been to major games, and our crowd is as good as there is in the country and better than most.
You got a chance to work alongside in the athletic department with Tony Gwynn when he was the coach, and then spend some time there as a volunteer baseball assistant as well. What are your thoughts on his passing?
Well, Tony was the head baseball coach at San Diego State when he retired from playing with the Padres. His whole career was with the Padres. The baseball stadium is Tony Gwynn Stadium. He came in here as a coach, and the stadium was named after him. He's an icon in this city. He went to San Diego State. He came to San Diego State as a basketball player. Still holds a career assist record at San Diego State. And I read national articles on him today, and everything is about all his exploits and what he did. I saw a little twist in one of them where a writer talked about how Tony made everybody feel important, and a young reporter Tony made to feel important, and that's what he did. He was a great, great person who prioritized family. He loved his family. That's a big reason he never left San Diego. And he had time for everyone. All of us should take notes on that part of his life. The legacy he has is far beyond 8 batting titles and 15 All-Star games and all of that. It's the man when you get to know him. And I had the privilege for 14, 15 years to really get to know him, that you truly appreciated and loved about him. And that's what the local stories are. People call in and talk about, well, when my son had a chance to shake his hand, and what an impact. And my son, Tony, allowed him to be bat boy at one of the games, and on and on and on. And it's a tragic loss. 54 is way too young, but he'll be remembered by everyone for all of the accomplishments, but most importantly for the man behind the accomplishments.
Well put, my friend, and we appreciate you jumping on with us today. And hopefully during the season sometime you got a few minutes left to hook up again with you. And congratulations on everything.
Thank you, Terry. I appreciate it, and brought back a lot of memories when they told me that you had called. So I was excited to be on with you.
No, it's the other way around, my friend. Take care and continued success, okay?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks, Steve. That is Steve Fisher, the San Diego State head men's basketball coach.